Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Da podcast. Today we have a special guest, a great friend of mine who would like to share some of his political wisdom. Hi, Paul. Long time no see. How are you doing during the pandemic?
Hello, Dmitry. I'm very glad to be here. The isolation was very unpleasant for me at first, but then I managed to find a use for my spare time and immersed myself into reading.
It's great to hear. Today we are going to discuss a subject which is not very popular in the English speaking media at the time, but it gained huge popularity in Russia. It's the fourth political theory. So, Paul, what do you have to say concerning Mr. Dugin's book?
I'm certainly a big appreciator of the forced political theory. It is the most relevant and promising thing I've read so far.
If I understood correctly, it is called the fourth theory because there were three major ideologies in the past, and those are liberalism, Marxism, and the ideologies of the third path, such as Nazism and fascism.
That is correct.
And so, liberalism, according to Alexander Dugin, went the opposite way to what Francis Fukuyama had predicted in his book. Liberalism has lost its core values, and the world did not stop at the point where all the countries remained democratic and capitalist. Moreover, postmodernism, in the views of Dugin, has replaced modernism and has become the ending point of global thought.
Yeah. Postmodernism has changed a lot in the way we interpret the world around us. Basically, there are many schools of thought within the postmodernist paradigm. Nonetheless, one of the most respected authors, Jean Baudrillard, who is often being referred to as the father of postmodernism, provides us with some key characteristics of postmodern society, and those are loss of reality, tradition, identity, and values. However, we did not just lose them, we had slowly replaced them with their fair, less humane, and more abstract analogues.
Like hyperreality, globalization, simulacrum, and consumer society, right?
Precisely, simulacrum we've mentioned is the central idea in Baudrillard's philosophy. Almost everything that surrounds us is in fact a simulacrum, roughly speaking, a copy without an original.
So the world has changed a lot, both historically and ideologically. What conclusion can we draw from this?
To answer that, we should dive a bit deeper into history. As you've mentioned earlier, there were three major ideologies that were invented on the foundation of the modern epoch. The first one was liberalism. Its subject was the individual and the ultimate goal was his full emancipation. The second one was Marxism and its formations such as communism and socialism. Their focus was a fully possible emancipation of the class instead of the individual. And last but not least were the ideologies of the third path.
You mean fascism and Nazism?
Exactly, they appeared as the last ones and ceased to be earlier than liberalism and Marxism. Their subject was either the national state or a race.
Well, we do know that fascism lost in the Second World War. But what about Marxism and liberalism? Why do you proclaim those to be dead as well?
Actually, it's quite simple. Marxism went down with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991.
But communism still exists in China.
Yes, some of the aspects of this ideology are still alive in China. However, Marxism itself as a global project is nowhere to be found.
And liberalism? I always thought it surrounds us from the day the French proclaimed the First Republic.
It is true, it is not dead yet. Still, it has already reached its final nihilistic stage. Throughout its evolution, liberalism went down the road of change. Firstly, we dealt with the genuine liberalism. It was a nice ideology striving for emancipation, and it managed to achieve its goals quickly. Among those, free global market.
And human rights?
Correct. However, it was only helpful while other two ideologies were at their apex. After winning the war for liberties, it had started devouring itself.
And what happened next?
Neoliberalism.
What's with it?
Well, basically, when the Soviet Union fell and Marxism became nothing but an empty word for us, liberals proclaimed a global crusade for the liberation of the whole world.
Do you mean the color revolutions?
Yes, in the last 2 decades we faced numerous White House-backed protests, riots, and other social confusions all over the globe.
It seems as though neoliberalism did not concede. It still continues its motion worldwide. Just take a look at Hong Kong, Belarus, and the United States.
But if we take a closer look, we will see that things have changed drastically.
Do you propose that neoliberalism degenerated into a new form?
That is exactly what I was about to say, and this is what Dugin's forced political theory is all about. You see, neoliberalism has turned into a new bizarre form, post-liberalism, and as we can see, the values of classical liberalism are now put to rest, and all we can see are the deviations of liberty.
Such as human becoming post-human, traditions becoming obsolete and losing their value, and the whole globe turning into a realm of lies. And the only blare of liberty we can hear now is full of deceit and duplicity.
Precisely.
So, what can we do about that? And what cure does Alexander Dugin propose?
He proposes a completely new understanding of the global situation. Firstly, we have to finally forget modernism and open our minds to postmodernism.
And then what?
We use it as a base foundation for all the future structures, such as new ideologies, among which the forced political theory is the most promising one so far.
Why so?
Because it is aimed to solve all the challenges left by the ideologies of modernity. Actually, don't let the word theory mislead you. The Dugin's book is merely an invitation to a much bigger work that is yet to be done. He explicitly stated that the forced political theory should become a foundation for further ideological development.
If I remember correctly, all the previous theories had clear subject: the individual in liberalism, the class in Marxism and communism, and the race plus the national state in Nazism and fascism. But what about the fourth political theory? Does it propose any exact subject?
Yes, and it is inevitably much humane than those you've cited. It is called Dasein.
Design? The same word that Martin Heidegger used in his works.
Exactly the same.
But what can a political theory have in common with a philosophical concept?
You see, Dasein is a very complex concept. Naturally, it's just a word describing the precise state of time originated from one of the German dialects.
And still, what it has to do with a political theory?
Martin Heidegger used this word to describe the quintessence of existence, and in Dugin's view, we should leave behind all the other subjects, because in their core, they are nothing but a byproduct of social evolution. Instead of trying to apply something that we invented ourselves to a political theory, we should focus on something that was here before we even became what we are now, and forget everything that makes us so different from one another: race, class affiliation, and gender hierarchy.
Now it's getting much clearer. So let's sum up all the information we've heard today. According to Alexander Dugin, there were three major ideologies that have come to an end: liberalism, Marxism, and fascism. And though liberalism outlived the others, it comes in a new degenerated form of post-liberalism. The fourth political theory sets a new cornerstone for the further development of postmodernist ideologies. The subject of the theory is a philosophical term known as Dasein, which is the quintessence of human existence. The theory is yet to be finished, and at this point represents mostly an invitation than a complete project. Paul, I would like to thank you for being here with us today. I certainly enjoyed our conversation, and I will be surely waiting for our next meeting.
Thank you, Dmitry. I too had a great time talking to you. We can only hope that our listeners enjoyed the podcast as much as we did.
And to our listeners, stay tuned, take care, and do not forget to subscribe and leave a like.
See you next time.
Bye bye.